So I saw a bunch of people on the Micromanager listserv asking about pulse width modulation control over an LED. I figured I'd make a little video showing a modification for the Triggerscope for this. This modification will work with the Triggerscope 2 or the Triggerscope 16, but when used with the 16 during the mod, you won't be able to use the DAC output lines that you select for TTL control. So anyway, what this does is it takes any of the 16 output channels and it allows for pulse width modulation on those channels. So if you had TTL1, normally that would be on or off, but in this case it's on enables pulse width modulation and off will set the line to a off state. I've integrated this into Micromanager driver, and so what you see here is PWM control. Now this is basically like what normally would be DAC1 on the Triggerscope. So I've got a DAC line with a value range. So this value range now controls pulse width modulation. The other thing I've got here is the on and off state, which shows up as a TTL value. So if I say TTL1 on, you can see that I have pulse width modulation here, and then as I adjust the DAC output, you can see that my PWM cycle is going to change from full scale here all the way down to 0 scale. Now I've got this showing right now as an equivalent of a voltage. I can show that as a digital number between 0 and 65,535, or a time for that matter. But anyway, this should support any customers that want to use the Triggerscope to drive an LED driver, for instance, with PWM. You, of course, can set this up for opening and closing, which is going to turn on and off at a particular PWM duty cycle. And then if you auto shutter this, got it set up for about 100 millisecond exposure. You can say snap, and you'll get your PWM cycles turning on only for the exposure time. So I think that'll do what everybody wants it to do. Hopefully this shows that it's possible in Micromanager, and if you want to use a Triggerscope 2 to do it, that product with 2-line output runs $4.99 on the website, or you can contact me at austin@austinblanco.com. Thank you.